Hello guys and girls, welcome back into the channel. Today we're going to be reading some Reddit stories and I've got plenty of work to do in my Minecraft world, so that'll be going on in the background. Before we get into our first story, if you could all hit like and subscribe, that would be absolutely amazing. And without further ado, let's get into the video. I lived with a murderer and I didn't even know it. In 2020, I was 15, living with my brother in a horrible rundown apartment. My mum kicked me out the year before. I had no school due to my charter school not doing an online option, and I was just let go from my job because of the pandemic. My brother and I were struggling to make ends meet with just his income, until we met this guy named Aaron at a bonfire party. Aaron needed a place to stay and promised to pay cash every month. So it was settled and he moved in 2 days later. Don't get me wrong, Aaron was weird. He wouldn't really shower, was really possessive about his things, and would go on rants about wanting to kill cops and constantly order Pizza Hut like every day, 2 times a day. But he was never late with any rent, and he was helping me get a roof over my head, so we ignored it. One morning I go to the kitchen to make some toast. I pull out the butter from the fridge, and before I can even turn around, I feel something hit the back of my head. I spin around to see Aaron yelling, "That's my butter!" I drop the butter on the table, telling him sorry, but he straight up throws more hands at me, right in the face. I'm seeing stars at this point, and this grown-ass man is going on a rant about I never contribute to the bills and I'm always eating his food. He finally calms down after 20 minutes of ranting, hands me the butter and apologises. Immediately, I tell my brother, who says he'll take care of it. The next week, we're all sitting in the living room when Aaron says out the blue, "You know," to my brother, "I thought about shooting you the other day when you told me I had to be nicer to me. Then you left and I had some time to think about it. I'm so proud of myself for not acting." My brother asked him if he even had a gun, to which Aaron responded, "I might do, but it's none of your business." 2 months later, my brother and I have completely distanced ourselves from Aaron after he went on a drug binge and jumped out the second-story window. He didn't even go to hospital, by the way. He begged us not to call 911. It was like a stranger living in our house. We didn't speak at all. The last day I saw him, he asked if I could borrow my car for $15. I had bought it for $700. It was a bad car, and it was in my brother's name over the summer. Money was tight, so I said sure. I wish I never did that. 10 hours go by, and I'm getting worried. Aaron isn't answering his phone, and I realise my learner's permit was in my car. I tell my brother, who says Aaron will turn up eventually. A week goes by. I've given up all hope. I'm never seeing my car again. I'm absolutely crushed. Then my brother gets a call from South Carolina State Police. The car was at an impound in South Carolina, which was 9 hours away. Turns out Aaron had a warrant for arrest in Florida, and he got pulled over in South Carolina and then decided to run for it. They caught up to him after he busted all 4 tyres and expedited him back to Florida. You may be asking what his warrant was for. He shot his cousin in the head a year prior over a dice game and a girl. He fled the state shortly after, slowly making his way north, and by the time the cops pieced together the puzzle, he was long gone. He was making his way south again for an unknown reason, and was pulled over for a tail light being out. And in case you're wondering, I never saw my car again. Wow, it sounds like this person really dodged a bullet with this one. This Aaron guy sounds like an absolute psychopath. I mean, to even find him at a weird bonfire party, that's pretty weird. But for him to say that he was going to shoot you over a disagreement, that's crazy as well. I think this person got lucky that he asked to drive his car for $15, and maybe losing his car was the best thing to ever happen to him, because he's never going to have to worry about this guy again. And him and his brother are now safe and he's out of their life. So maybe losing the car, maybe it was worth it in the end. It's such a risk taking a random stranger into your house. And in this situation, it was for the worse, not for the better. Sometimes you become great friends with people, and other times you just want them out of your life, and that's exactly what's happening here. Let's move on to another story. This one's called Burger King Surprise. During my lunch at work today, I went to the Burger King drive-thru. The guy taking my order mumbled so much I could barely understand him. I drove right up to the window, and the dude was visibly higher than a kite. He had a napkin around his mouth, and I could see a little blood. He turned around to search my order and said, "I can't find my tooth." He gave me my food, and miraculously everything was correct. I pulled off to safety to make sure everything was accounted for. It was, and then some. At the bottom of my bag was my wrapped Bacon King. The wrapper looked wet, but I assumed it was grease or ketchup. Wrong. I opened it, and there was dark red blood on my sandwich bag, along with a tooth that he was missing. I don't go to the manager, hardly, but if there was ever a reason, this was it. I went inside, put the burger on the counter and said, "I found your friend's missing tooth," in a calm voice. The manager looked mortified and offered me a free replacement meal. I said forget it, I'm never coming back here. So I went back to work very hangry, but I had quite the funny story. I'm not surprised that they were hangry. This would put me off Burger King for life. That's actually so disgusting. The story reminds me of that old meme, the one which was like, the last thing you want in your Burger King burger is someone's foot fungus, and that's exactly what you get. This is so much worse. I actually would rather someone stand in the lettuce for the burger rather than having someone's actual tooth in my meal. Like, that's so disgusting. You're digging around your bag of food and then there's a bloody tissue and an actual tooth. Yuck. I would be put off Burger King forever after that. So disgusting. Our next story is called Every Lottery Win Comes with a Price. This is a fictional story and it looks like it could be a bit spooky, so let's get into it. I don't know if anyone will believe this. Hell, I don't even know if I believe it, and I saw it with my own eyes. But I need to write this down before I lose my nerve, or before whatever Danny decides to come for me next. Danny and I grew up in the same nowhere town in southern Ohio, with a tiny population. A blink or you'll miss it type of population. We used to joke that our only excitement was when gas stations got new flavours of Mountain Dew. Then, Danny won the lottery. It was one of those insane jackpots, hundreds of millions. He bought the ticket at Old Casey's Mart off Route 9, the one that looks abandoned except for a flickering neon open sign. He didn't even pick numbers, it was a quick pick. When he called me that night, I thought he was messing with me. "Bro, I swear on my life," he said. "I checked the numbers 3 times. It's me. I actually won." I laughed, told him he'd soon wake up, and then hung up. But the next morning, all over the news, local man wins £312 million jackpot. Danny Miller of Maple Hollow. He was already local royalty by lunchtime. Everyone suddenly remembered how nice he'd been in high school. He called me again that night, jittery and drunk. He said he didn't feel right, and that the guy who sold him the ticket had said something weird when he bought it. I asked what. He said, "Every gift has its debt." I told him it was probably some creepy cashier trying to be philosophical, but the next day he said his ticket was missing. He tore his whole house apart looking for it. Then a few hours later, it just showed up again on the kitchen counter. That's when he started to say he could hear whispering. He thought maybe people were messing with him because of the money, but he said the whispers were coming inside the house, especially near the ticket. "I can't understand the words," he said, "but it sounds old, you know, like church Latin or something." I told him to get some sleep. The next morning, his mum called me sobbing. Danny was dead. She said she found him in the living room. His body was twisted. That was the word she used, like his limbs didn't bend the right way anymore. The cops wouldn't let me see the scene, but small town talk. One of the EMTs told me that every bone in Danny's body looked like it'd been turned inside out, but there were no signs of a break-in. No one could explain it. They said maybe a seizure, maybe he fell, maybe it's something with his spine, but that's not what killed him. I could see in their faces it was something worse. That night, I got a text from Danny's number. It said, "Your ticket's next." I stared at the screen for 5 minutes. My first thought was, who's stolen his phone? I replied back, "Who is this?" No reply. Then my power went out. The silence was thick. My phone dimmed to that low battery glow, and I swear I could hear whispering too. Just a faint hiss, like someone was speaking through water. When the lights came back, everything seemed normal again. I convinced myself it was grief, but a few days later the winning numbers for the next lottery were announced. One of the numbers was the same as Danny's, then another, then another. When I checked the ticket in my glove box, the one I bought with him for fun, that we joked about splitting the money if we won, it matched 5 numbers. I'd just missed the jackpot. The prize was still enough to ruin your life, around 1.2 million. I froze. That's when I noticed something scribbled on the back. It wasn't my handwriting. It said, "The debt comes due." I didn't cash it. I couldn't. I shoved it in the drawer and tried to forget about it, but weird things started happening. My cat hissed at empty corners. I'd wake up and find dirt on my kitchen floor, like someone had walked in with muddy bare feet. The whispering got louder. I started researching. Turns out the gas station, Casey's Mart, used to be a church, not a normal one. Back in the 1800s, it was some breakaway sect worshipped something called the Giver's Chances. They believed in fortune was a zero something. Every blessing required a sacrifice, luck traded for life. They used to hold raffles, holy lotteries, where one person got a miracle and another paid for it. The church was shut down after half the congregation disappeared overnight. And guess where the old altar used to be? Right now where the lottery counter stands. I tried to tell the police about it. They thought I was losing my mind. Even Danny's mum wouldn't talk to me anymore. She said the coroner's report was sealed. 2 nights ago, I woke up to my phone buzzing. Unknown number. When I answered, I heard the same whispering. Clearer this time. A voice. Old wet. Wrong, and it said, "The winner must pay." And then the line went dead. Yesterday, I went back to Casey's Mart. The cashier wasn't the same guy as before. This one was a teenager with acne and a blank stare. Then when I asked about the old cashier, the one who sold the ticket to Danny and I, he looked confused. "There's never been anyone like that here," he said. I told him I'd seen him. Bald guy, pale eyes, cracked fingernails. The kid just shook his head and pointed to a faded photo on the wall. The original owner of the building back when it was still a church. It was him, same face, same cracked fingernails, except the photo was from 1891. I ran out of there. When I got home, the drawer where I hid my ticket was open. The ticket was gone, and in its place was a fresh one, same numbers and written on it, "Debt accepted." Last night I dreamt of Danny. His body wasn't twisted anymore. He looked hollow, like something had scoped him, and he was wearing him like a puppet. He told me to stop fighting, that I couldn't win, that it always collects. Then I woke up. My phone buzzed again, a new text from Danny. "Tomorrow's draw, your turn." I checked the date. The lottery draw is tonight. I don't even remember buying another ticket, but when I went out my car, there was another one sitting in my passenger seat. Same store, same numbers. The whispering hadn't stopped all day. It's in the walls, the pipes, the static, the TV. It's saying my name now. I think it finally understands what happened to Danny. He didn't die because of bad luck. He died because he won. The giver of chances doesn't make you rich. It just loans you fortune, and when it wants repayment, it takes away the worst possible thing. I can feel it closing in. The air feels heavy, like it's watching. If you ever buy a ticket from Casey's Mart off Route 9 or anywhere that looks too old, throw it away. Don't even scratch it. Don't even look at it. Because when you win, someone else loses. And it's always once even. Wow, that was pretty spooky. I don't really know what to say. I think if I'm ever find myself in the middle of nowhere in America, I'm not going to go into like an off license or a shop and buy a lottery ticket now, because that spooks me. I think we should move on to our next story, maybe something a bit more upbeat. My boyfriend just proposed. My 28-year-old boyfriend just proposed to me. It was our 3-year anniversary yesterday, and we went for a drive after work. I noticed he was acting kind of weird, but I brushed it off. We grabbed some dinner and went on a nice hike. It was starting to get dark when he actually got down on one knee and asked a question. I said yes almost immediately. I hugged him and I kissed him. We touched foreheads. We stayed like that for a couple of minutes, just hugging and touching each other's foreheads and enjoying each other's presence. We both told our parents, and it was sort of funny when he told his dad. His dad asked what was going on, and my fiance said, "Nothing much. I just proposed to my girlfriend." His dad got so excited and invited us over. We're going over later today. I can't believe we're engaged. The 3 years we spent together have been wonderful, and I can't wait to get married and start this new part of our lives together. I can't describe how happy I am, and my fiance really seems happy as well. That's really nice. Congratulations to the both of them. That's very sweet. It's also so nice how the dad reacted, and he was really excited too, because I know a lot of people's dads would probably just reply with like a thumbs up emoji or something if they find out any important news from their kids. So it's really nice to hear that the dad also got quite excited, and fair play to the both of them. Congratulations. From dating highs to dating lows, let's go into our next story. He changed after we slept together, and that's when I knew I had to end it. I was dating this guy last year, and in the beginning it felt like everything was falling into place. He was attentive, funny, and made me feel cared for. We went on thoughtful dates, he texted me good morning, and he really seemed to be putting in effort. After about a month, I felt comfortable enough to invite him over and spend the night. The next morning, though, his whole energy shifted. It's hard to describe, but it's like he'd crossed some sort of finish line in his mind. He stopped being curious about me. Instead of asking me about my day, he made comments like, "You really like being in control, don't you? With your little apartment and your organised life." At first I thought he was joking, but the tone was different, more smug than playful. Over the next few weeks, it became even clearer. He didn't plan dates anymore, he just expected to come over. He acted less invested, like intimacy meant nothing to him anymore. And sometimes he'd say things intentionally diminishing me, like he wanted to knock me down a peg. That was the moment it clicked. He hadn't been showing me his real self at all. He had been performing, waiting to get what he wanted, and once he did, the mask slipped. So I ended it. And honestly, I felt relief more than sadness. I realised how important it is to pay attention, not just to how someone treats you before intimacy, but how they act after. That's when you see who they really are. I'm sharing this because I wish someone had told me sooner. If you feel a sudden shift, trust your gut. Love should feel safe and steady, not like someone conquered you. Sounds like the guy is a bit of an arse, really. The fact that he just knocks you down the peg and says horrible stuff. And yeah, it's clear he got what he wanted, and after that, he doesn't care anymore. So it's probably best to get rid of him. And I think they did the right thing to take them out of their life. They don't need this person in their life anymore. They're not going to benefit from having them, draining them, and they obviously don't care about them in the right way and don't have the right intentions for them. So she probably did the right thing getting rid of him. So it's no surprise really that she feels more relieved than saddened by it, because she's taking a step in the right direction to get out of that toxic relationship. Let's get into the next story. Thought I was about to have the wildest night of my life instead. Back in college, I met a girl at a house party. We clicked instantly. You know that mix of too much alcohol, loud music, and finding someone who somehow makes the night feel electric. We were laughing, flirting, and eventually we started kissing in the corner like nobody else existed. Out of nowhere, she leaned in and whispered, "Come with me to the bathroom." My drunk brain screamed, "This is it!" Every college movie I'd ever watched suddenly felt real. She grabbed my hand, pulled me through the crowd, and we slipped into the bathroom. The door locked. My heart was racing. I was so sure this was about to be one of those wild party stories you tell your friends years later. She turned around, smiled at me, and then casually said, "1 sec." Next thing I know, she unbuttoned her jeans, sat down, and did not just pee. I mean the full concert. Grunts, farts, and an unmistakable plop. I stood there frozen like a deer in headlights. My brain short-circuited between be supportive and get the hell out of here. I chose the latter. I unlocked the door, slipped out, and vanished back to the party like a ghost. I never saw her again. That's such a stinky end to the encounter. Oh, sorry, that's a terrible joke. But yeah, that's a pretty funny story. That is definitely a story that you would tell your friends much later on in life. You couldn't tell them straight away because they'd be looking at you in pure disbelief. Oh dear. Right, let's get into the next story. The time I saw a UFO. I am 21 writing this, and at the age of around 9, I had a very, very interesting experience, like many in my life. In Apopka, Florida, it was myself and my younger siblings, who were 7 and 5, and my mother, all driving back home at night on this long back road that at the time I can say we've taken a few times to get home. Trees ran along the road, with some nature followed by what seemed like a company or industry on the right hand side of the car, but it looked like it was a farm or something because of the open land. There were randomly 5 cars parked alongside the road ahead. My mum said something like, "What the hell?" And I remember before she even said it, everyone was outside their cars and looking up into the sky with their phones out. She began to slow down, and enough for us to really see what was going on as we were passing, and to all of our surprise, there was a UFO coming down from the skies. It looked like a regular UFO, round dish, circle top, except it had very, very large circles all around the bottom, like you'd see from a cartoon, and they were glowing and changing colour. The UFO was coming down slowly as it felt like it was just floating, but we realised that as it got closer to the floor, the faster it began to come down, and I mean fast. As we acknowledged it, My mother said, "Oh, hell no," and sped off forward, saying she didn't even want to see it, and she didn't want to see what would happen next. And I think that's fair. I always wondered what it could have been and what happened next, even if we stayed longer, as well as all the well-being of the people there. And what happened to all the video recordings? What happened to the people on their phones? Who knows? I always find UFO stories so interesting because everyone has different experiences of what they say they see, and it's always the case that people were recording, but there's never any actual video like footage of it. But I can understand your mum's point of view as well. She's like, "Nah, I can't be bothered to deal with this right now. I just want to get home." This person's clearly convinced that they did see something at the time. And they said they're 21 now and they were 9 at the time, so it makes you think. I wonder if they did actually see something or if they were just asleep in the back of the car. You never know. Oh, anyway, let's get to the next story. My biology teacher should not be a teacher. Teachers are supposed to be kind, supportive, respectful, patient, and helpful. My teacher is none of these things. My teacher, let's call her Joey, openly admits that she has favourites in her classes. She treats them better than every other student by putting half an hour of chit-chat with her underage friends and puts about 20 to 25 minutes of actual teaching to everybody else. When she's teaching, she only acknowledges her favourites and excludes the children that she does not like. This morning she asked me a question. I answered, and she didn't even look at me. I was in the middle of explaining my answer and she just walked off. I think I should file a complaint to the office or confront her about it, although I know she would just act like a child and not put any effort into actually being a teacher. Our tax dollars are being wasted on a teacher like this. Something needs to change. Not all students are there because they have to, but because they want to have an education. I remember when I was at school, I had teachers like this, and they clearly had their favourites and everyone else just didn't matter to them. And one clear example of this was, I think it was in art, and we had one teacher and she had her set favourites, and there was a group of us where she just couldn't be bothered with us at all. So she'd seat us in the back corner of the room and we just we just left to our own devices. She didn't want to interact with us, she didn't engage with us, and we were just left there the whole time whilst the rest of the class had all the attention, and it was like having a naughty boys section in the back of the class. It was quite funny if you think about it now. And then we had other teachers that would just hate on you if you had like an older sibling that they didn't like. I always remembered, if they didn't like your sibling, then there was no way, in no chance that they would like you at all. So I can sympathise with this person's issues towards their teacher, and they should probably put a complaint in. I'm going to end the video there. Thank you very much all for tuning in. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye everyone.